Hello and welcome to a fairly talkative video, which I won't be editing so much, of where I talk about my alternate countries. So these are basically countries I just made myself and were like, this will be pretty good for a video. And so, yeah, I did it. There's around 10 or 11 I'll show today, all in rapid succession, because I don't want this video to be too long. Anyway, let's get on with the video, shall we? Okay, so the first is Nova Romanum Imperium. So this is basically if the Roman Empire never fell and managed to get the Industrial Revolution. Wait, no, not Industrial Revolution, like, what's the... Age of Discovery, that they managed to defeat the barbarians, probably beat them back into Germany, Poland, that sort of area. Didn't really ask why there's still modern day borders, that's just how I do things. But we see that they conquer more into the Sahara. We see that they made like a federation sort of thing for all their states. This is basically all the states I made. And we see that they have America, so that's good. Anyway, moving on to the next one. We have the Tsardom of Alyaska. You can kind of tell this is like Alaskan purchase, but not really. So this is if Alaska, if it even was inherited by people, but I don't think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong if Alaska was inhabited by people during Russia's rule. Anyway, they rebelled from Russia and America, becoming their own little kingdom. And this is a flag up there. Is it called? I think it is. Bear. Look at my poor rendition of bear, jeez. Anyway. The capital is Juneau, and they existed until 1949, but before becoming a constitutional monarchy. Moving on to the Franco-British Union. Now, this was actually a proposed concept which happened after World War II to combine both their empires. It failed, but, you know, still lives on in this timeline because after they kind of fell, they kind of did some stuff. I don't know how they managed to gain Benelux. I don't really know how, don't ask me. I just want the borders to be changed. But France still had Algeria, Britain had Newfoundland, and I don't know who gave them Greenland. Possibly not Denmark, I doubt it. But, yeah. And they gained Ireland too. Maybe like after a war. Like, you can make up your own law for this. I didn't really know myself. Yeah, Axis of Winning. This is a version 2 of my map. I won't show version 1 in this video, but I mean, this is it. Germany, Europe, Italy, and Africa, Mediterranean, Japan, Asia. Yeah, yeah, let's not gander it further and move on to the Dream Belgium Empire. Now, this is honestly just... Fun fact, I saw this in a video once where like, I think it was like Volgoda mapping, I think? I don't know, but they gave a list on every bit of land King Leopold of Belgium ever wanted. Like, either King Leopold I or King Leopold II, but nevertheless, they did some stuff, and I did that. Don't know why they wanted Portugal, though, or Brazil, or basically the entirety of South America, Central America, Mexico, a few US states, a bunch of this, and a bunch of Africa, including the Congo. I still gave them the Congo. Anyway, we move on to Monarchist USA. Now, don't get this confusing with the one I made in my video. This is if America became monarchist as it was made. Like, Washington was like, hey, forget. Guys, I'm gonna say something quite controversial. What if we don't abandon monarchy? They'd adopt constitutional monarchies maybe in like the 1800s. Like in the reforms of 1800s, they made some stuff. But anyway, they expanded a bunch. They managed to get Liberia. They have Alaska, disputed from Russia. And this country is actually one that exists in the same timeline as another country, which I'll get to later. Then we have Repubblica di Roma, or the Roman Republic. This is basically after the NRI collapsed, and this is what was left of it, the loyal part. Don't ask me if Greece still stays, I don't think it will, or would have, but this still stands as a sort of constitutional monarchy, still kind of upholding the same philosophy they had back in the NRI. Anyway, moving on to the next country. The Greater Eurasian State of Russia. Now this actually exists in the same one as the USA, or like the American Empire. The Columbus Empire, as I like to call it, because Columbia, don't ask. But the GASR is the GASR being the GASR. This is kind of like an alternate Cold War, where like, instead of, capitalism versus communism, it's monarchy versus monarchy, But anyway, they have a bunch of duchies here. They have a Sultanate of Afghanistan and a state of Mongolia, including some territory disputed with China, and some territory disputed with America. With Russia. Well, with themselves. With the individual states, however, we have the Russian state, the Finnish state, the Livonian state, the Belarusian state, maybe the Lithuanian state, I didn't include that on this map, the Ukrainian state, the Transcaucasian state, the Turkic state, and the Siberian state. So this is after their timeline of World War II, so this is kind of like their version of the Cold War. Anyway, moving on to the next one, which isn't really an empire, it's just kind of like a zombie apocalypse scenario, where like it's divided up into 12 districts and one alpha zone, which is where the zombie alpha is, and it kind of just became the Grand Horde of Asia. If the Mongol Empire wasn't enough, I'm sure this would have been bad. And the plagued areas is where some of the illness was spread, but not officially. Most of it has been seen in the Grand Horde. Like, plagued areas is like, dude, get out of here. And then the Grand Horde, and he just is like, dude, get out of here right now, or you're screwed. Anyway, this isn't really an empire, this is just one I just came up with. So, yeah, pretty cool. And then we have the Grand Intermanum. Don't ask me how this would come to be. I had one thing that was a little bit before this I started recording, which is like Poland defeats like Prussia, Russia, and Sweden. No, Sweden didn't take part of it. I think it was Austria. Yeah, it was Austria instead of Sweden, but they defeated those people and created a bunch of states. Or maybe it was like after an Axis victory scenario that included Poland. I honestly do not know myself, but you can create your own thing with me and leave it in the comments. But that'll actually conclude it for this video. I know this is quite short from my other videos, and I did it in one take. Woohoo me. But, you know, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you want to leave your own suggestions in the comments of even more countries I can do in part 2, or, like, just general video ideas, that would be greatly appreciated. But, in general, thank you for watching, and I shall see you, sorry, but I will see you in the next video.